A report accusing former Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz of sexual misconduct, illegal drug use, and receiving improper gifts was released today by a House Ethics Committee. The report is the result of a more than 3-year investigation into Gaetz, who last month was nominated by President-elect Trump to serve as Attorney General. Gaetz withdrew his name from consideration as controversy swirled over the Ethics Committee investigation. News Nation's Tom Dempsey has details of the report.
Just a short while ago, the House Ethics Committee formally and publicly released this long investigative report totaling over 40 pages, and the committee saying it found substantial evidence that former Congressman Matt Gaetz paid women for sex back in 2017, that he had sex with a 17-year-old girl over a 3-year period from 2017 to 2019. He used drugs like cocaine and ecstasy, and the committee even saying that it found substantial evidence that the former congressman sought to impede or obstruct this investigation. As I said, this investigative report stretches over 40 pages. The investigation dates back to 2021, and the committee saying that it obtained around 14,000 different documents and conducted around 24 witness interviews. The committee saying it also found, quote, substantial evidence that Gaetz broke state laws relating to sexual misconduct while in office, and he violated House rules and other standards of conduct prohibiting prostitution and illicit drug use. The House Ethics Committee, like I said, began this investigation back in 2021, and it became even more notable after President-elect Donald Trump nominated Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice beginning next year. Gaetz pulled out of the nomination process as the committee debated whether or not to release this report. Gaetz has very much denied any wrongdoing, and he's described this investigation as a smear campaign. In a recent post to social media, he wrote, "In my single days, I often sent funds to women I dated, even some I never dated but who asked. I dated several of these women for years. I never had sexual contact with someone under 18. Any claim that it would be destroyed in court, which is why no such claim was ever made in court." We will also note, too, important to note, that this investigative report from the House Ethics Committee did not find sufficient evidence that Gaetz violated federal sex trafficking laws. A short time ago, Gaetz also posted to social media testimony, we believe, of a woman connected to this investigation who said, "I never charged anyone anything." So Gaetz very much refuting these allegations and claims against him. We will also note that the Department of Justice never charged Gaetz after conducting its own investigation into these allegations. Back to you.
President Joe Biden commuted the sentences of 37 out of 40 inmates on federal death row on Monday. Biden lessened the inmate sentences from execution to life without parole. Some of the inmates were convicted of murdering children. Biden said his actions were consistent with the moratorium his administration had put on federal executions, except for cases of terrorism or hate-motivated mass murder. Biden did condemn the prisoners and said he grieves for the victims of these, quote, despicable acts, end quote. The 3 other inmates who did not get a pardon include Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, the man convicted of being the Boston Marathon bomber, Robert Bowers, the man convicted of killing 11 at a Pittsburgh synagogue in 2008, and Dylan Roof, the man convicted of killing 9 black churchgoers at a church in Charleston in 2015. Republicans criticized Biden for the move. Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton, for instance, took to X and wrote in part, quote, "Once again, Democrats side with depraved criminals over their victims, public order, and common decency."
Are you plead to this indictment, sir? Guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Luigi Mangione, the suspect in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, pleaded not guilty to state murder charges in Manhattan today. Mangione pleaded not guilty to 11 counts in New York, including murder charges ranging from first to second degree, as well as other weapon and forgery charges. The 26-year-old suspected killer is also facing a federal case that includes a murder charge through use of a firearm, which would make Mangione eligible for the death penalty if convicted. The killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson has taken over national headlines and highlighted the growing outrage at the U.S. healthcare industry. And online, Mangione has been praised for his actions with an almost cult-like following, showing support for the suspected murder suspect. News Nation national correspondent Mills Hayes takes a closer look at the outpouring of support for Luigi Mangione online.
A killing in broad daylight. United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson shot in the back. Stunningly, the suspect at the center of the crime hailed not as a villain, but as a hero. Why the love for Luigi Mangione? Several are pointing to a healthcare system riddled with high cost and major disparities. Tattoos of Luigi Mangione's face, over $180,000 raised for his defense fund, with supporters lined up for the 26-year-old murder suspect outside of court. Adoration for an alleged killer, with the spotlight now sparking conversation about health insurance reform.
Right now I'm living with my parents because I can't afford to have a house, and that's from my physical impacts of my illness, but also the financial impacts too, of just paying for what it takes to keep me alive.
2 out of 5 adults say they delay visiting the doctor or filling prescriptions because of high cost. And for those who do get care, 1/3 say they become burdened with medical debt. The cost of medical care far outpacing inflation, with healthcare spending per person on average sitting at nearly $15,000. A new poll by Emerson College shows that 41% of people 18 to 29 say Mangione's actions were somewhat or completely acceptable.
I think we're seeing a bigger issue at Gen Z, and they're reframing the issue in terms of the oppressors and the oppressed. I think Mangione has this kind of idea that somehow corporate people are the enemy. That's hardly the case.
Social media now the site of discourse on this crime, especially among the younger generation.
All of the CEOs out there being like, I'm so scared, violence is not the answer. And now you're upset. You want us to cry because some man got shot in broad daylight? This happens. Welcome to a regular Tuesday at school in America.
That video from Gen Z TikToker Rachel Geed has over 2 million likes.
Why do you think that it went viral and spoke to so many people?
It signifies that this is a time to be asking questions. For us and for like a generation, we're sitting here wondering why we should care about this when we haven't cared about all of the students that we've lost.
According to correction officials who spoke to the New York Post, in the 10 days Mangione was behind bars in Pennsylvania, he received 54 emails, 87 physical letters, and 163 deposits into an account allowing him to buy commissary. Many people support this guy, but many others I spoke with say our country needs to take a serious look at the conditions everyday people face.
Influential tech giants are pouring money into President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration fund. Analysts tell The Hill that for the sake of business, some in Silicon Valley are trying to mend their relationship with Trump after past tensions. Mark Zuckerberg's Meta and Jeff Bezos' Amazon each donated $1 million to Trump's inaugural fund last week. Sam Altman of OpenAI also pledged he'd donate $1 million. Though Altman has repeatedly donated to Democrats since 2013, he said Trump would be very good at helping build necessary AI infrastructure. Altman said last Friday that he was eager to support Trump's efforts to make sure the U.S. leads the world in the AI space. Amazon donated $276,000 to Biden's 2021 inaugural committee and around $57,000 to Trump's 2016 inauguration fund. Zuckerberg's Bezos, Apple's CEO Tim Cook, Google CEO Sundar Pichai, and TikTok CEO Shou Zi Chew have all met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago since his win. Amazon workers are continuing to strike at locations across the country as company officials criticize the Teamsters union and say customer deliveries are not being affected. Experts say Amazon delivery drivers, along with Starbucks baristas who are also striking, are desperate to make progress on contracts before President-elect Trump takes office and appoints new members to the National Labor Relations Board. The board is expected to be less friendly to unions during Trump's coming presidency. Amazon company officials accuse the Teamsters union of harassment and intimidation in their efforts to unionize employees. Teamsters says it is fighting for higher wages, better benefits, and safer working conditions. For many people in America, a college degree is a foundation for a successful career, but do you really need that diploma? California's governor unveiled a framework that would help create more career pathways that don't involve a college education. In today's News Nation Political Minute, Blake Berman, host of The Hill on News Nation, breaks down the numbers behind the debate.
A high-paying job without a college degree? I'm Blake Berman, host of The Hill on News Nation. The California Governor Gavin Newsom unveiling a framework to create more ways to build a career that do not require a 4-year college degree. Now, here's some of the nationwide numbers behind the college debate. In 2022, the average earnings for those between 25 and 34 years old with a bachelor's degree were north of $66,000. The same age range, though, for those with a high school diploma was about $42,000. That's according to the National Center for Education Statistics. On the other hand, Americans currently owe about $1.6 trillion in student loans, and about 42% who have loans owe more now than they did a decade ago. Only 22% of U.S. adults say they believe college is worth it if you have to take out loans. 47% say a degree is worth it, but only without the debt. I'm Blake Berman, and this is the News Nation Political Minute.
You can find more news and analysis from Blake and his colleagues 24/7 on News Nation. To find News Nation on your screen, go to joinnn.com. And that's today's Daily Debrief. I'm Drew Petroma. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel. We'll come back here soon for the intersection between politics and policy.